A twist of the small waist. Big hips a flip. The skirt is swinging. Blonde beauty with big eyes is dancing enchantingly. Young and lively body makes people return to youth. The man watched the girl's every move with fascination. His heart already has a series of indescribable actions. And he was deeply in love with this girl in his heart. Even though she is his daughter's best friend, the man still can not help but to her heart. The man's name is Jack. He is 42 years old. Now he is like many middle-aged men. He has encountered a variety of life problems. Marriage, family, and work are all weighing on him. He works in an advertising agency. But it's all a dispensable role. Repeatedly making phone calls every day. Despite working here for 14 years. But the position has not changed at all. Even the new supervisor was 10 years younger than him. He had to bow down to his supervisor in order to do his job. Even when the company was laying off staff, he was praying that he would keep his job. Jack had no choice at work. He has no place at home. His wife, Mary, is a strong woman. She's a real estate saleswoman. She was more powerful than he was. She was the breadwinner and the backbone of the family. She was responsible for the family's expenses. So she is the boss in the family. In her daily life, she is also a competent person. She has a good relationship with her neighbors. She is always full of energy to welcome customers every day, although she works very hard. But there are times when she encounters frustration. Whenever this happens, she always hides and cries. When she's done, she'll be the same person again. My daughter Jenny is a student, but she is now in her adolescence. She is quite rebellious. Jack wanted to get along with Jenny, but Jenny does not want to care about him. So that day when Jenny was performing a dance, he and Mary went to school together, but it was this time, he met a girl, Annette. Anna was Jenny's best friend. Jack fell in love with her vivacious figure right away. It was like going back to the days of his youth. At the end of the school day, he came up to Anna and talked endlessly. He said that as long as Jenny's friends are his friends. He was so embarrassed by this comment. When he went home and slept in bed, he dreamed of Anna's figure. His face smiled a little lewdly. For this reason, he went through Jenny's phone book. He wrote down Anna's number and called her, just to hear her voice. This day at the party, looking at Mary's smile, he missed Anna even more. He didn't expect to see Anna when he got home. Anna was looking at him innocently with big eyes. He couldn't be happier. But Jenny didn't like his attitude. His father was in love with his best friend. This is really unacceptable. The two girls were talking secretly in the room. Anna thought Jack was cute. It would be nice to have some muscles on his body. The speaker was not listening. They didn't know that Jack was quietly lying in the doorway listening. Hearing Anna's interest in him, Jack thought he had some charm. Then a voice suddenly came over. The two girls stood up. The men got up in a daze and walked to the closed room. Inside is a steaming bathtub. The beautiful girl was soaking in a rose bath. The man's mouth was watering as he watched. The sleeping man's hand keeps wriggling under the blanket. The girls Jenny and Anna hear a commotion, picked up to check. If you don't look, you don't know. One look is a shock. It was the new neighbor Mike who made it. Jenny's name was on the floor. Jenny's face took on a hint of joy after looking. Unbeknownst to her, Mike was filming with a video camera. However, Mike took a glance. He saw Jenny's father Jack working out. It turns out that after he heard Anna say that he has some muscle better, he looked at his body full of fat. He also a little disgusted. In order to win the love of beauty, he took a dumbbell and began to exercise. He did not know that Mike also filmed the scene. When he went to bed at night, he dreamed of the first scene. His wife, Mary, sensed the movement. She woke up and looked shocked. She's a middle-aged couple. Such behavior made her very angry. He preferred to do it himself rather than touch himself. They had a big fight. The relationship dropped to a freezing point. But Jack didn't care. He's finally not a man who takes it lying down. He was going to start getting back on his feet. He started running the next day, but within 2 minutes, he was exhausted. He saw Mike on the side of the road and followed him home. It turns out they've known each other for a long time, been in jail for drugs. Now he's still selling the stuff. Jack had tried it once at a party and remembered it. However, Mike's father looked at the two men and began to feel uneasy. He hated gays so much. He always thought there was something going on between them. And Jack in a relationship with Mike. He also felt the beauty of youth. Why should he do nothing like this? So he quit his job. And he used the company scandal to get a big severance package. Now he can be said to be a new man. And while he's changing himself, Mary was seeing someone else too. She met a fellow agent. Charming to her. The two of them went to the shack after dinner. And on the other side, Jack, who left his job, found a job in a fast food restaurant. No-brainer, and money to boot. The middle-aged couple strayed from their respective tracks. And Jenny meets Mike. Both of them have a little sympathy for each other. They feel that they are getting closer and closer. When they got home in the evening, the family talked about the events of the day. However, Mary was angry when she heard that Jack had quit his job. Now she had to pay for the family's expenses. They had a big fight. Jack even dropped his plate. He finally felt what it was like to stand up for himself in front of his family. He had been ignored before. It felt good to be back on his feet now. But what he didn't know was, Jenny was feeling less and less loved at home. She can only make eyes with Mike. But to her surprise, Mike's father came in, beat him up. It turns out it was only because during the day, Mike showed her the things in the cupboard. Every family has its own problems. Jenny went to Mike's room. The two of them were talking with the camera, talking about their families. Jenny suddenly said that Jack had hurt herself. He's not a good father. Someone needs to take him out. Mike laughed. said he could do it himself. However, after this comment, the two men laughed and laughed. It was just a joke. However, they did not know that the joke came true. A father falls in love with his daughter's best friend. In the darkness, the father's big hand touches the bosom friend's tender face, kissed the slender neck. Then he pushed her onto the sofa. Because of his love for his daughter Jenny's best friend Anna, Jack decided to make himself look the way Anna liked. He's also had enough of being oppressed by his wife Mary, and the neighbor boy, Mike, got together with Jenny. Mike would say hello to Jack before going to school. This was a big hit with Mike's father. He hated gays so much. He always felt that there was some secret between them. When Mike went to school, he quietly went through the locker, but he found a video of Mike filming Jack. This reinforced his suspicions. He couldn't let Mike go astray. While Jack was at work, he suddenly heard Mary and the strange man's voice. He rushed to the pickup point. He saw the two of them having sex, although his wife had cheated on him. But Jack was not as angry as expected. He was also mentally deranged. But Mary saw Jack's unperturbed expression. It was very hard for her. The image of a successful man she had maintained was shattered. Her beautiful family was in tatters. Little did she know, Jack went home to work out as if he didn't care. He found that the grass was gone. He called Mike on the phone. The two men were in the room making a deal. However, Mike's father was silently watching the two men's every move. This scene is obviously misleading. Mike came home and was beaten up by his father, and kicked out of the house. It turns out that the reason why the old man hates gays, because he also watched Mike leave the house. He made a decision. And the other side, Mary also silently touched the big baby. Mike knocked on Jenny's door. The two decided to go far away, and Mike's father found Jack, leaned his head on his shoulder, even kissed him, trying to find a little comfort. But Jack was a normal man. He rejected Mike's father directly. He also had to leave in silence. Back home, Jack saw Anna. He went up to her and flirted with her. He reached out and touched her. Anna did not refuse. But then he said something that made him stop. Anna was still an intact girl. He couldn't do that. He comforted and complimented Anna. Looking at his family's photo together, he knew that his wife had been so beautiful. The family was also so happy. How could it be different now? He wanted to go back to the family life he had before. But then a big baby pressed against his head. Before he turned around, red flowers bloomed on the wall. Jenny and Mike went downstairs to check on him. They found Jack in a pool of blood, and the culprit was Mike's father. He had fled to the house. Mary was walking in the rain with her big baby in her arms. She knew she still loved Jack. She ran home and hugged Jack's clothes. How she wanted to go back to the life she had before. But everything was now impossible.